The breaking point. Captain Alina Reyes straightened her uniform as the doors to the Grand Council chamber hissed open. The circular room stretched before her, filled with representatives from over 40 different species. The air smelled of alien perfumes and the subtle chemical signatures of a dozen different environmental accommodations. 200 years of human membership in the Galactic Alliance, and they still struggle to get a seat at the main table. Captain Reyes acknowledged High Counselor Zoran, his 8 eyes blinking in sequence. "You may present your petition." Elena stepped onto the speaker's platform, feeling the weight of billions of human lives on her shoulders. The holographic display activated, showing the Vega system and its rich asteroid belt. "Esteemed Council, I present again humanity's request for mining rights in the outer Vega belt. Our surveys have confirmed minimal ecological impact, and the resources would help alleviate shortages in the Orion sector that affect 17 member worlds." Murmurs filled the chamber. Alina had expected this. The petition was reasonable, backed by data, and would benefit multiple Alliance species, yet she already saw the familiar dismissive gestures among the elder race representatives. "The request has been reviewed," Zoran responded with practiced neutrality, "and denied on grounds of potential disruption to subspace currents." Alina bit back her frustration. "Subspace currents that weren't mentioned in any of our extensive surveys. May I ask what evidence supports this concern?" Councillor Thrix of the Moravian Collective rose, his crystalline form catching the light. "The Krell Imperium conducted their own survey," he said simply. And there it was. The Krell, who coincidentally had been granted mining rights in 3 systems last cycle, had suddenly discovered a convenient reason to block humanity's petition. Again. "I see," Alina said, keeping her voice level. "Just as they found gravitational anomalies when we petitioned for colony rights on Proxima b, and quantum instabilities when we requested research permits in the TA system. Your implication is noted and unwelcome, Captain," Zoran said coldly. "The Council's decision stands." As Elena left the chamber, Admiral John was waiting in the antechamber, his weathered face giving nothing away. "Same result. Same as the last 12 petitions," Elena confirmed. "Different excuse, same outcome." They walked in silence through the gleaming corridors of Alliance Station, the massive space habitat that served as the governmental center for the 43 species of the Galactic Alliance. Alien diplomats and officials moved past them, some nodding in acknowledgement, others deliberately ignoring the humans. In the secure confines of the Earth Embassy, Admiral Zhang activated the privacy field. The room hummed briefly as all potential surveillance was blocked. "The Alliance Defense Fleet has denied our request for upgraded shield technology," he told the small gathering of human officials. Again. Colonel Rivera, head of Alliance Security Forces Human Contingent, laughed bitterly. "Let me guess, they claimed it would be destabilizing to the power balance." "Precisely," Zhang confirmed. "Meanwhile, the Krell have been approved for quantum torpedo technology that outclasses our defenses by an order of magnitude." Elena studied the data display showing the latest statistics. Human worlds contribute 18% of all Alliance resources, provide 26% of their medical research, and our security forces make up nearly 30% of all peacekeeping operations. Yet we receive less than 8% of technological exchanges and only 12% of defense allocations, finished Ambassador Chen. The elderly diplomat had represented Earth for over 3 decades. "It's been this way since we joined. The promise was always that equality would come with time and proven commitment." 200 years isn't enough time?" Rivera asked. "The Neroni joined 60 years after us and already have council leadership positions." The room fell silent as they all contemplated what everyone had been thinking for years, but few dared say aloud. The Alliance had never intended to treat humans as equals. The ambassador's secure terminal chimed. Chen answered, his expression growing grave as he listened. When the call ended, he looked around the room. That was Earth Central Command. The colony on Kepler 442 bits was attacked 3 hours ago. The news hit like a physical blow. Elena's hand tightened around her datavat. Casualties. 28 dead, including 12 children. The attackers hit the primary school and water reclamation facility. Krell raiders? Rivera asked. The ships matched Krell configurations, but as usual, they had no identifiable markings. Zhang's expression darkened. This is the 6th attack on human colonies in 3 months. Each time, the Alliance investigation concludes there's insufficient evidence to attribute it to any member species. Meanwhile, if a human merchant so much as violates a minor shipping regulation, we're sanctioned immediately, Alina added. Ambassador Chen walked to the window overlooking the magnificent spiral of the galaxy. For several moments, he said nothing, just stared at the stars with the weariness of a man who had spent his life believing in cooperation only to watch that dream crumble. I've received new instructions from Earth government, he finally said. I'm authorized to implement the severing protocol. The room went completely still. The severing protocol had been developed 50 years ago, but was considered so extreme that no administration had ever seriously contemplated using it. Is Earth certain? Admiral Zhang asked quietly. The consequences. Earth is certain, Chen interrupted. This latest attack was the final straw. The vote in the Global Assembly was 189 to 11 in favor. Elena felt a chill run through her. When? I'm to deliver formal notice to the High Council tomorrow. All human personnel will begin immediate withdrawal from Alliance installations. Earth Central has already initiated Phase 1. The next day, the Grand Council chamber was filled beyond capacity. Word had spread that Earth's ambassador had requested an emergency session, and representatives from all 43 species were present, an unprecedented gathering. Chen walked to the center of the chamber, his simple gray suit standing out among the elaborate ceremonial garb of the other diplomats. He carried no datapad, no notes. The message he was about to deliver had been 2 centuries in the making. High Counselor, honored representatives, I come before you today not with a petition or a complaint, but with an announcement. His voice was calm, almost conversational. Effective immediately, Earth and all human colonies withdraw from the Galactic Alliance. The chamber erupted in shock. Shouted questions and objections filled the air as Zoran hammered his ceremonial staff for order. This is unprecedented, Councillor Thrix exclaimed. No species has ever withdrawn from the Alliance. Then we are honored to be the first, Chen replied with a slight bow. All human diplomatic, military, and technical personnel will depart Alliance facilities within 72 hours. Alliance representatives on human worlds will be escorted to departure points with all diplomatic courtesy. High Counselor Zoran recovered his composure. Ambassador Chen, surely this decision is hasty. Whatever grievances Earth may have can be addressed through the proper channels. For 200 years, we have used your proper channels. Chen interrupted, abandoning diplomacy. For 200 years, we have contributed our resources, our innovation, our blood. Human security forces have died defending Alliance worlds, while our own colony suffered attacks without consequence to the perpetrators. We have fulfilled every obligation, met every standard, and still find ourselves treated as second-class members. He looked around the chamber. Humanity joined the Alliance by choice. We leave by choice. The treaties are clear on this point, even if no one ever expected them to be invoked in this way. Councillor Growl of the Federated Suns rose, his feathered crest flattened in concern. This withdrawal would be economically devastating to human worlds. Your supply chains, defense networks, trade routes, all are integrated with Alliance infrastructure. We are aware of the challenges, Chen acknowledged. We are prepared to face them. The Alliance could impose sanctions, threaten Thrix. Chen smiled for the first time. You could, but before you vote on that, I suggest you consult with your technical divisions about exactly how much of your communications infrastructure, navigation systems, and medical technology is maintained by human engineers. The algorithm that prevents faster-than-light communications from creating causality violations, human-designed. The neutron field stabilizers that keep your largest habitats from collapsing. Human-built and human-maintained. A hush fell over the chamber as the implications sank in. We don't make these statements as threats, Chen continued more gently. Merely as facts you should consider before deciding how to proceed. Humanity wishes to part ways peacefully, but we will not be coerced into remaining where we are not respected. As Chen finished speaking, every human present in the chamber stood and walked out in silence. Not a word was spoken as they exited, the sound of their footsteps echoing in the stunned quiet. Within hours, human ships throughout Alliance space began changing course, heading for Earth or human colonies. Technical crews walked off their posts after carefully documenting systems and providing transition information. In the Alliance Defense Fleet, human officers resigned their commissions, and human-crewed vessels departed for Earth space. On the edges of human territory, Earth's independent defense force, maintained legally under Alliance treaties but kept intentionally small, began activating long-dormant automated defense platforms. Colonial governments implemented emergency resource management plans developed in secret over decades. The galaxy watched in disbelief as humanity simply walked away. At first, the Alliance leadership was dismissive. High Counselor Zoran assured the Council that Earth would return within months once they realized the impossibility of survival outside the Alliance framework. Trade sanctions were implemented. Alliance patrol ships blockaded human space, and propaganda portrayed the withdrawal as a temporary tantrum by an immature species. But as weeks stretched into months, strange reports began filtering into Alliance headquarters. The neutron field stabilizers on 3 major space habitats had begun showing warning signs of instability. The communications network between the Orion and Sagittarius arms experienced increasing lag and data corruption. 17 medical research projects stalled without their human scientists. On Earth, factories that had been shuttered for decades under Alliance efficiency regulations roared back to life. Mining operations on Mars and the asteroid belt, previously restricted by Alliance quotas, expanded rapidly. Research banned under Alliance protocols resumed, particularly in artificial intelligence, quantum entanglement, and faster-than-light technologies. As the 6-month mark approached, the first major Alliance system experienced a cascading failure in its power grid, a system designed and previously maintained by human engineers. The blackout lasted 3 days and affected 80 million citizens. The Alliance's confidence began to waver. The Reckoning. 5 years after humanity's withdrawal, Admiral Elena Reyes, now Fleet Commander Reyes of the Earth Defense Force, stood on the observation deck of the EDF Redemption, Earth's newest capital ship. Below, the blue-green sphere of humanity's homeworld turned peacefully, surrounded by a defense network more advanced than anything they had been permitted under Alliance restrictions. "Status report," she requested, not taking her eyes off the planet. Colonel Rivera, now her second-in-command, brought up a holographic display. The new quantum shield network is fully operational. Production of Mark VII autonomous defense platforms is ahead of schedule. The colony on Ta City reports their first completely self-sufficient harvest cycle. Elena nodded, satisfaction evident in her expression. And the Proxima shipyards. The final phase of expansion is complete. Production capacity has increased by 300% since independence. It hadn't been easy. The first year after withdrawal had tested humanity's resilience to its limits. Alliance blockades had strangled supply lines. Critical resources had been rationed. Citizens had sacrificed comforts they had taken for granted for generations. But something unexpected had emerged from the hardship: innovation. Freed from Alliance restrictions, human scientists and engineers had tackled problems with renewed creativity. Breakthrough after breakthrough had followed, each one reducing dependency on Alliance technology and resources. "Incoming transmission from Long-Range Scout Delta 9, announced the communications officer. "Alliance diplomatic vessel approaching the outer system boundary. They're requesting permission to enter Earth space." Elena exchanged a look with Rivera. "5th one this month. They're getting persistent." Shall I deploy the standard greeting party? Rivera asked. Elena considered for a moment. No. This time I want to hear what they have to say. Escort them in, but full security protocols. 6 hours later, Elena stood in Earth Central Command's conference room as the Alliance delegation was escorted in. To her surprise, High Counselor Zoran himself led the group. Commander Reyes. He greeted her, the formal bows of his species looking stiff and unpracticed. Thank you for receiving us. High Counselor, she acknowledged. This is an unexpected honor. The Alliance's supreme leader doesn't typically handle routine diplomatic matters. Zoran's 8 eyes blinked in their sequential pattern, a sign of discomfort in his species. These are not routine times, Commander. I come with the full authority of the Alliance Council to discuss terms for humanity's return. Elena kept her expression neutral, though inwardly she felt a surge of vindication. Please sit. Earth will hear your proposal. The Alliance delegation took their seats. Elena noted that all 5 representatives were from elder races, the original founding species of the Alliance. Interesting. The withdrawal of humanity has created unexpected difficulties. Zoran began carefully. Certain systems throughout Alliance space have proven more dependent on human expertise than we had realized. Economic disruptions have been significant. I'm sorry to hear that, Elena replied politely, though I recall Ambassador Chen warning of such possibilities. Zoran's skin flushed a deeper blue, the equivalent of embarrassment in his species. Indeed, we perhaps did not give his words sufficient weight. The Council is prepared to offer substantial concessions for humanity's return to the Alliance. He proceeded to outline the offer: full voting rights on the Inner Council, unrestricted mining permits in 3 previously denied systems, advanced technology transfers, and a formal investigation into the attacks on human colonies. 5 years ago, such an offer would have been celebrated as a monumental victory. Now, Elena merely listened impassively until Zoran finished. Your offer is generous, she said finally, and 5 years ago, it would have been accepted with gratitude. But circumstances have changed. She activated the room's holographic display, showing technical specifications that made the Alliance representatives lean forward in shock. This is our new quantum shield technology, developed without Alliance restrictions. It's 3 generations beyond what the Alliance currently uses. These are our autonomous defense platforms, capable of neutralizing Krell warships with 98% efficiency. And this, she said, highlighting another section, is our new faster-than-light communication system that eliminates the signal delay problem the Alliance has struggled with for centuries. The Alliance representatives exchanged troubled glances. The technological gap between Earth and the Alliance is now reversed. Elena continued, we've accomplished more in 5 years of independence than in 2 centuries of membership. Why would we return to a system that held us back? Because of the void, said a new voice. All heads turned to the doorway where Earth President Xiang had entered, accompanied by Dr. Maya Patel, Earth's leading xenobiologist. Madam President, Elena acknowledged, rising. I wasn't aware you would be joining us. The situation has evolved, Xiang said grimly. She nodded to Dr. Patel, who activated her own data stream. The holographic display shifted to show a dark region of space expanding at an alarming rate, consuming stars as it grew. This is happening in the Cygnus arm, Patel explained. We detected it 3 weeks ago. The region is experiencing a cascade failure of the fundamental forces. Literally, space-time is unraveling. The void phenomenon, Zoran said quietly. It's accelerating. Elena looked between them. You knew about this. The Alliance has been monitoring similar, smaller phenomena for the past 2 years, Zoran admitted. They were contained, manageable. This one is different, larger, faster. Our scientists project it will reach major populated systems within months. President Chiang studied the Alliance delegation, and you believe this is connected to humanity's withdrawal. Not directly, Zoran replied, But we believe you possess the innovation necessary to help stop it. Alliance science has reached an impasse. We need human creativity. Alina felt a cold realization settling in her stomach. That's why you're really here. Not to graciously welcome us back, but because you need us. Yes, Zoran admitted simply, his dignity finally giving way to desperation. We need humanity. The Alliance needs humanity. Not as subordinates, but as true partners. Perhaps we always did. The conference room was silent for several long moments. The arrogance, Alina finally said, her voice quiet but intense. For centuries, you treated us as lesser beings. You restricted our growth, denied our requests, ignored attacks on our people. Now that you face extinction, suddenly we're worthy of partnership. Alina, President Jiang cautioned. No, Madam President, Alina continued. They should hear this. Do you know what those colony attacks cost us? The Kepler 442 bits attack killed my sister and her 2 children. The Alliance did nothing. The Krell were never held accountable. Zoran lowered all 8 eyes in his species' gesture of profound regret. You are right, Commander Reyes. We failed humanity, repeatedly and systematically. Our civilization is far older than yours, and that age brought complacency. Then arrogance. We saw your species' rapid advancement as threatening rather than inspiring. He rose, and to everyone's shock, performed the full prostration of his species, a gesture reserved for the most profound apologies. On behalf of the Alliance, I offer no excuses, only regret and a plea. Help us save not just ourselves, but all sentient life in this sector of the galaxy. President Jiang looked to Alina, whose face remained hard with the memory of personal loss. Commander Reyes, Jiang said quietly, what would your sister want you to do? Alina closed her eyes briefly. When she opened them, determination had replaced anger. Dr. Patel, she said, assemble our best research teams. I want all data on this void phenomenon available for immediate analysis. Colonel Rivera, prepare the redemption for deployment to the edge of the anomaly. She turned to Zoran. We will help, not for the Alliance, but for all sentient beings threatened by this phenomenon, including those who were never given a voice in your council. Zoran straightened, relief evident in his posture. Thank you, Commander. Don't thank me yet, Alina replied. Our help comes with conditions, not requests or petitions, non-negotiable conditions. She outlined them quickly. Complete reformulation of the Alliance power structure, equal representation for all species regardless of how long they had been members, transparent sharing of all technologies, and an immediate end to the activities of the Krell Imperium until a full investigation into their actions was completed. The Inner Council will never agree to such terms, one of the Alliance representatives protested. Then the Inner Council can explain to their citizens why they chose extinction over equality, Alina replied flatly. 3 weeks later, the Redemption hovered at the edge of the expanding void, accompanied by ships from 27 Alliance species. The joint fleet represented the largest cooperative effort in known galactic history. On the command deck, Alina studied the swirling darkness before them. Human and alien scientists worked side by side at nearby consoles, sharing theories and calculations with a freedom that would have been unimaginable 6 months earlier. We've identified the mechanism, Dr. Puddle reported, excitement in her voice despite the gravity of the situation. The void is generated by quantum fluctuations in subspace. The pattern matches exactly with the energy signature of Krell quantum torpedoes, weapons the Alliance approved for their use despite our objections. The Krell were testing weapons in uninhabited space, added a Moravian scientist. They lost control of the reaction. Alina's expression hardened, and rather than admit their mistake and seek help, they concealed it while it grew. Typical, Rivera muttered. We can generate a counter-resonance field, Dr. Patel continued, but it will require the combined energy output of every ship in the fleet, channeled through a quantum harmonic matrix. She hesitated. a matrix based on the principles of the banned human AI research. Elena looked to the Alliance representatives present on her bridge. Research you forbade, that now might save us all. No one disputed her words. Commence the operation, she ordered. For 3 days, the fleet maintained position around the void, generators straining as they created the counter-resonance field. Human AI systems coordinated the effort with precision impossible for organic minds. Slowly, the darkness began to recede. On the 4th day, with the void finally contained and dissolving, Elena received a priority communication from Earth. The Krell Imperium had attacked 3 Alliance worlds in what appeared to be a desperate attempt to prevent the new coalition from forming. The Alliance and human fleets had responded together, and for the first time in history, fought as true equals. The Krell fleet had been decisively defeated. In the aftermath, as the joint fleet returned to Alliance space, Elena found herself in a private communication with High Counselor Zoran. The Alliance Council has convened an emergency session, he told her. The reforms you demanded have been approved. The old order is finished. We would be honored if Earth would send representatives to help shape what comes next. Elena studied the alien who had once embodied the arrogance of the Alliance, now humbled by circumstances, and perhaps, finally, wisdom. Humanity will not rejoin the Alliance, she said firmly. That chapter is closed. But we are prepared to help build something new in its place. A true galactic federation, with equal standing for all sentient species. Zoran's 8 eyes blinked in sequence, but this time, Elena recognized it as his species' expression of hope. The day humanity walked away, the old order began to crumble, he acknowledged. Perhaps it needed to fall for something better to rise from its ruins. As the redemption re-entered Earth space, Elena watched the homeworld come into view. Humanity had walked away from an unfair system and forced the galaxy to confront its own failings. They had suffered for it, struggled through it, and emerged stronger than anyone, including themselves, had imagined possible. And in doing so, they had changed the course of galactic history, not through conquest or domination, but by simply refusing to accept anything less than the respect they deserved. The stars, it seemed, had finally aligned.